What are GMOs? You probably heard this word once in the internet. Today, we're going to be covering the history, the pros, and the cons of GMOs. Farmers have long used a method of it called selective breeding to their advantages in the early days. Maybe some crops of their corn had better yield than others, and they did the smart thing of breeding those who had better yield so they can have more of those, and then they breed the ones who had better yield than the rest again, and repeat until profit. Here is where GMOs or genetically modified organisms come into play. Selective breeding requires a bit of luck to happen, while GMO is guaranteed. In 1973, scientists Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen developed the first GMO, which is a bacteria immune to cannabis. In 1974, they also used a Xenopus laevis toad, which was the first GMO expressing a gene of a different kingdom. In 1982, the biggest influence of GMOs was improved by the Food and Drug Administration, human insulin, which saved countless people from the effects of diabetes. In 1986, the US made the Coordinated Framework for the Regulation of Biotechnology, which has to be followed by the FDA, Environmental Protection Agency, and the US Department of Agriculture. In 1992, the FDA made GMO food and traditional food implement the same requirements and safety standards. In 1994, the first GMO produce, which was tomato, was released and was said to be as safe as traditional produce. And also in the 1990s, the first wave of GMO produce was made available to the public, which were summer squash, soybean, cotton, corn, papaya, tomatoes, potatoes, and canola. But some of these might not be available anymore. In 2003, the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations made the international guidelines and standards to determine the safety of GMO foods. In 2005, the US made GMO alfalfa and sugar beets available for sale. In 2015, the FDA approved an application for the first genetic modification in an animal used for food, which was salmon. In 2016, the US Congress passed a law which requires GMO foods to be labeled as bioengineered. In 2017, GMO apples were made available for sale in the US. In 2019, the FDA completed consultation on the first food from a genome-edited plant, and in 2020, GMO pink pineapple was made available for sale in the US and an application for a gall-safe pig was approved. With all this in mind, what could possibly be the cons of GMOs? Well, that's what we're gonna discuss on the second part, which is the pros and cons of GMOs.